Good evening, everyone. Shubha Sandhya. It's in fact a pleasure to discuss and share some knowledge which might be helpful. Why might it will be helpful? Because it is only the knowledge which gives us freedom. Sa vidya vimukta. We become free from fear, anger, from frustration, depression. It's only by right knowledge. With the blessing of Ma Saraswati, my parents and grandparents, I do think that this knowledge will help you in your life. So today's topic is about emotion is something, a beautiful thing which cannot be touched. And many beautiful things in this universe cannot be touched. And one of them is emotion. And I always think that these emotions which makes us human or humane, can it be compared to the fragrance of a flower? The flower being the brain, which can be again compared to the 1,000-petaled lotus. So this is, in fact, a subject, a discipline, a debate, which is taken up by many, many people who are working in neuroscience in this topic called emotion. Well, coming to the structure of emotions, well, everything has the knowledge always tries to structure it. So how the emotion can be structured and represented in words. As you see, if you go to the down part, I have made it colorful. There are 6 components of emotions. That is, it is an integrated neuro, physiological, behavioral, and evaluative, experiential, and social phenomenon. My God, 6 components of something which we take it for granted and we never gave a heed to it. So it has a neural part, a nervous system included, and there are array and tandem of effects inside our body which is physiological, which is represented by our behavior. And the most important thing is that this behavior can be evaluated and your experiences. And the whole thing, it reflects in a social behavior. And in fact, society can be said as a conglomeration of emotions. So looking at the structure of emotion, as you see, the environmental events and mental imagery, they have an effect on the physiological changes. These physiological changes are interpreted as emotion based on situation. And you develop a feeling, the mood, affect is also known as the mood, your behavior and your thought. Did we ever think in our normal life that someday we have to learn that the ultimate, which we call a society, is totally dependent on a systematic changes inside your own body? So the first description of emotional storm, which is my topic, the topic which I'm going to display or share or be in communication with you, is about the emotional storm, which was first and very well documented in a very old textbook called Bhagavad Gita, which is 3,500 years back. In chapter 1, which starts with emotional storm, that is Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And all of us know about this. When Arjuna and Krishna have kept their chariot in between both the army, suddenly seeing Arjuna Arjuna, after seeing his own people, goes through a traumatic experience. And it is very well recorded in chapter 1, verse 28 to 30, where Arjuna says, seeing these, my kinsmen collected here, prompted by war, my limbs fail me. Now his limbs are failing him. Oh Krishna, my mouth is parched up. He feels as if his mouth is drying. My body quivers and my hair stands on. The bow Gandiva slips from my hand and my skin burns all over. So you see, this was the first scientific description what happens to us during emotional storm, like what happened to Arjuna. His limbs were failing, his mouth dried up, his body quivered, and all his hair stood up. And the Gandiva, the famous Gandiva, or the power in him, that was also slipping away. And his hand and skin are burning. So how is this happening? He saw something and he was already ready for it. And he is into an emotional storm, and so well documented in a scientific way, exactly which the Western people documented in 1890 by William James. So in 1890, they thought, and the Western science took it up, that emotion has a role in our life, in science, in health. So William James, who wrote the book Principle of Psychology, he said that emotion changes, it brings out changes in the body. By activating a system known as autonomic nervous system, all of us know that we have a nervous system, and this nervous system gives us all the information from outside. But this autonomic nervous system always is the system which maintains our homeostasis or internal environment. Suppose, for example, if you see this picture, you see our health is the balance of two systems, which is a part of autonomic nervous system, that is parasympathetic part of autonomic nervous system and sympathetic part of autonomic nervous system. When you are in flight or fright, when you are afraid, some changes happens inside your body, and this is known as sympathetic activity. When you are in rest and digest, your parasympathetic outflow of this autonomic nervous system rules all your physiological changes. So in fact, we have to balance the parasympathetic and sympathetic system, which is the outflow of autonomic nervous system. These are nerves which controls all your internal environment, including your heart, your lungs, your gut, and the whole internal environment. So what it does, emotion and physiology, as you see, when you see a tiger, your sympathetic activity overrides. Your pupil, it has effect on your eyes. Your pupil will dilate. Think the beautiful system. Your salivation decreases. Your skin perspires. Your respiration increases. Your heart accelerates. Your digestion is inhibited. Your adrenal glands, which secretes your stress hormones, they're secreted. So these are the changes an emotion can do to your whole internal body. And this is totally done in a very, very calculative manner, so that you can override your fear. You can run. See, once you see a tiger, your pupils are dilated so that you can see a lot of the space. If it would have been constricted, you would have a barren vision. You couldn't have seen the environment and you couldn't have found a place to run. So this is, in fact, all this system is made in such a way that you survive in this world. Look at the other system. That is your parasympathetic system. When you're watching cricket in a comfort manner, what will happen? Your eyes, pupils contract, your salivation increases, you munch your lays, you munch so many things when you're relaxed, and your skin dries, your respiration decreases, your heart slows, your digestion is activated. So when you're in rest in parasympathetic outflow, your digestion improves and your stress hormone decreases. What I'm trying to show you is that your emotion has tremendous effect on physiology. In every part of your cell is affected by your emotion. So now let us take up this very important evolutionary brain. To start with, this is which I've been talking about, the 1,000-petal lotus, that's your cortex. And this is your limbic system, or that part which controls your emotion. And they all stand on the stalk, which is your brainstem. So let us go from this reptilian brain, the brainstem here. This brainstem, this part which is known as the medulla, it controls your instinctive brain and basic body function like your respiration and your heart rate. And the way you are breathing, your heart rate, it is not under your consciousness. It is unconscious. So the lower functions or the lower part of the system or the lower part of the brain is mostly, if the cortex is not involved, it leads to unconscious physiology. So as you see, as we have evolved, these parts have developed. From the reptilian brain slowly emerged another structure, which is the amygdala, and the brain function improved with it, and this is known as the lizard brain. This is the oldest part of the brain, and it is also the part of the limbic system, and it's the survival brain. It helps in all these 4 F's as you can read it, and it is important for your fear, your pleasure, your anxiety, and your anger. So, as you see, our evolution, we should understand evolution. As we have evolved, our emotions have changed. If you go on sticking to the older part of us and we are showing all these emotions, that shows that we are not using the better part of our brain. And as we evolve with time, limbic system developed. This is your hypothalamus. This is your hypothalamus, and there's a hippocampus here and amygdala. And this limbic system, it deals with our emotions, feelings, dreams, habit control, memories, interaction with others. So now we human beings, more than reptiles, more than apes, we are mammals, and limbic system is a part of the mammalian system. This is also known as the mammalian, limbic part is also known as the mammalian brain. So this mammalian brain, which is present in all animals, have all these feelings. The most important thing is that even the mammals have emotions, the animals have emotions, and they have memories, and they have a good lot of decency to interact with each other. So our being a human, it is by default that we have all this nature, all this emotion in us. What great in it. But now comes the neocortex. The newest, the most advanced. It's rational thinking. It helps in thinking rationally. It's a new brain, higher level of thinking, by which we have developed the language, our speech, our understanding, our imagination, our ideas. So being a human, by default, we have all this, a reptilian brain, a lizard brain, a mammalian brain. Now we should be engaged more in these activities to, in fact, see what neocortex has in store for us. We should give more time to unravel the secrets of being a human by using these acumens which are hidden in the neocortex. Now, emotion, you thought it was arbitrary. No, it has a pathway. It comes in a pathway. If that pathway is not there, for example, an unconscious patient, an unconscious person, a person in ICU or in coma, they have the emotions are different. They're using different emotions. So you have two emotional pathways. As you see here, all our sensation goes to the thalamus. And from the thalamus, as I've shown you, it goes to the cortex and to the limbic system. That pathway which connects the thalamus and the limbic system is known as the thalamic limbic pathway, and it is important for primary emotion, which I will be talking about. So you have two pathways, the red pathway, which connects the thalamus and the limbic system, and a blue pathway, which connects the limbic system and the cortex. And to make things more easier for you, all this have, whether it is red pathway or the blue pathway, they give physiological responses. So whatever halchal inside you is because of this emotional pathway, the red pathway, which is very important for your primary emotion, which is unconscious because cortex is not involved. Your primary emotions, cortex is not involved. You are not trained. But once it comes to the secondary emotion, it needs cortex. It's high level of processing, which needs your cortex. This is conscious. These are conscious emotions and these are unconscious emotions. And whether it is conscious or unconscious, whether you throw a big rock or a small leaf, the way it creates a ripple on water, same also whether it is conscious or unconscious, all these emotions do show ripple inside a body, that is our physiological response. So what are the primary emotions, which is by you are unconsciously it can come out of it. You don't need to think about it. Anger, joy, love, fear, sadness. This is by default we have these. You don't have to be conscious about this. We are by default given these programs. We have been programmed by default. What we can do, the secondary emotions, we have to work on it, and it is by the consciousness and the work of the cortex and that of the cortex, in fact, takes the right. And what are those secondary emotions? The guilt, enthusiasm, your depression, your pride, your vulnerability, your regret, your anxiety, your contentment, your disappointment, your happiness, your hope, your jealousy, your frustration, your shame, your confusion, you are lonely, your trust, your satisfaction, your peace, your resentment, your coincidence, and your optimism. These are all your secondary emotions, and it is ruled by your consciousness, your cortex. So being a human is in fact to have the whole bouquet of both primary emotion, which is also present in reptiles and in all mammals, and the newer emotions, the secondary emotions.
For complete videos on training, visit www.aconvalley.com.